you're describing how this is an internal thing, but no one would be able to tell from the outside, but you're suffering on the inside.
Yeah.
And there may be many other people in the same classroom who are experiencing the same thing, even though they may give indications that they're quite competent socially or whatever, okay? But making that a part of your narrative, especially in the way you introduce yourself, well, whenever appropriate or necessary. For example, let's say in the class, say you had this 4-man, or these small teams you have to segregate into, right?
Yeah.
So when you have those opportunities, leading with that opportunity saying, so my name is Ryan, and this is extremely hard for me. Something I'd like for you to know about me is I struggle in a significant way when I have these opportunities, because I have these feelings on the inside, I have these thoughts that I'm battling. It makes it really difficult for me to engage socially. Some people may intuit or interpret this as this over here, but it really isn't that. It's really what's going on over here. What do you think of that idea if you were to try and get comfortable with that idea of leading with that sense of, hey, here's how I'm trying to figure out my...
Yeah. I actually never tried that because never like think of that approach.
Yeah.
I always look at it as, why do I need to tell them? They don't probably care. They might think probably just making things up, or just like trying to be like the victim or something.
I love it. Hey, nice work by the way, pushing back. I love it. It's really good. Very good.
Yeah.
May I propose another thought to
but I really
yeah.
like that, like to make peace with it.
Yeah.
And like, how can I like move forward if I don't
Absolutely.
like make peace with it?
So what I'm thinking about in that context is this, Ryan. A lot of people, actually most people in society today, have that narrative in their mind that doesn't speak encouraging things, but discouraging things. Why did I say that? I look so stupid. Man, why am I so weird? Like, this is the constant narrative in most people's minds in our society today that continues to speak that kind of voice that is not encouraging to step out, but to work back into isolation, right? It's not the kind that says you are who you are and this is amazing, you know? It's kind of the kind that's more critical. So I would say that experience that you have of why would people even care is something that most people would be thinking, and so that drives more isolation in our society, in which people who are together aren't really together, they're really apart. They're apart because they're thinking in terms of the worst case scenario of what the other person may be thinking about, and the unfair part about that is it may not be true. In most cases it's not true actually. This person may be thinking, I want to get to know this person, but this person is saying they probably don't want to get to know me, so they start going away, they push away kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so that drives a lot more isolation, which drives that sense of division amongst people when they're getting together. And then the thing that we most need, seem to want in this culture is there someone who can see me for who I am? Is there someone who can accept me for who I am and be able to take me as I am in my messiness?
Yeah.
The truth is, every one of us is messy. Every single one of us has issues. And being able to make peace with the fact that every single person is working on their own crap, but can we extend ourselves in a vulnerable way to be the first one to say, hey, my name is Ryan. I'm kind of messy. Here's what my mess looks like here, and I'm working through this. It's a gift that we offer others when we say, I don't know what you're going to do with this, but I'm going to give this out there, because we have to interact in this dynamic, you know, whether it's class or friendship or whatever else. And when you start doing that, here's what I found, almost like 98-99% of the time, right? Others start responding in some beautiful ways where they're like, I'm so glad I can actually be real. I was hoping that, you know, I could have this chance. You gave me that permission now to be honest and open with how I'm struggling. Here's how I'm struggling. I'm trying to figure things out. And then in that context where people are willing to be open and vulnerable with each other, what starts to happen, Ryan, is there's a beautiful bond that begins to develop on the premise that we're broken and trying to help each other forward. Talk to me.
I don't really plan to go out today.
Yeah.
But it was like a blessing that I went out and I picked you as a driver. Now seriously, what you're saying right now, it kind of resonates with me in so many levels. I mean, it starts to get real, seriously. I can feel that it's really genuine. And I really love what you say that started with that, because what I'm doing right now, my approach is like to step back, and to withdraw myself from those kind of situations.
the reason I propose these ideas, here's the thing. You started being vulnerable and saying, here's where I'm at. Here's how I didn't have any access to that. I never would have guessed that. But as you brought me into your experiences, into your world, and as I was empathizing, I was like, man, that must be debilitating. That must be really binding, and you must be suffering along the way that way, you know? I'd hate to see my fellow human being, and you're a fellow human being, suffering. I'd love to be able to encourage you along the way where you can experience something different. I'm not proposing a snap sort of a change where you're like, oh, now it's all free.
It should be gradual.
It's a process.
It is.
It really is a process that way, right? And so along those lines, that's why I'm saying, what would it take for you to be able to incrementally, but realistically, shift your perspective? When you have perspective, you have contrast.
Yeah.
When you have contrast, you have options. And it's not like you're always going to nail it out of the park, right? It's going to be like 2 steps forward, maybe 3 steps backward, or something along those lines, right? But along those lines, it's at least the kind that could introduce hope.
Yeah.
Hope that it doesn't always have to be this way.
Because it's a really terrible feeling that keeps me like awake sometimes at night. It makes me feel like I'm motivated and defeated all the time.
Yeah.
And it hinders me to progress and try things in life. Because I always feel like I'm gonna fail. I'm not gonna do it.
Sure.
I always second guess myself.
Yeah. Hey man, I don't have money. Are you hungry?
Sure.
I've got just a little bar here. Is that okay? It's really heavy. Help yourself to it, man.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good day.
You too. Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah. Yeah, so I always like second guess myself, most especially like in terms of public speaking.
Yeah.
I'm always so conscious that I might make like some grammar mistakes or I mispronounce something.
Yeah.
That's why I really hate it when I'm like standing in front, or like whenever we need to do like an essay or like writing activity that needs to be done in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, what should I use? And where was on? Oh, what should I use?
Sure.
It was like a really terrible feeling for me.
Honestly, I think you could definitely start to experience something radically different. But the thing is, all you're hearing is ideas right now. These are just ideas to consider. And I appreciate your serious consideration on the ideas. If it's and this is why I'm inviting you, saying, by all means, I love when holes are pointed out in my ideas, right? Because I try to think as carefully as I can to say, is this something worthwhile exploring more? Or should it be something that's abandoned, right? And for me, it's not only ideas, it's actually ideas that I put into practice, so it's practical for me. And so I'm speaking out of my own experience, saying, here's what my experience has been, but it may not be everyone's experience, right? And one of the things I'm really careful to do is to say, like, in the opportunities I have to share my brokenness, I'm usually like just both feet in. Here's my life, here's how I've made mistakes. I usually give a perception to most who first meet me, a really good first impression, you know, where they're like, man, nothing can go wrong in your life. You have everything in order, kind of thing, right? The honest truth is, the point where I'm at right now, it may be good, but I've had many mistakes. I've had many serious mistakes. I've had many things that have gone wrong in my life. And so the lessons I've learned have been extremely expensive. Expensive in the sense that where I'm at right now, these lessons were bought at a very high price. Of broken hearts that I've left along the way, lost income, like just so many evidences, you know what I'm saying? So what I'm experiencing and the ideas that I'm sharing with you for your particular scenario are the kind where I'm like, this is what I've experienced from my close study over the past 3 decades of this culture, to understand it as well as I can, to propose what I believe to be the missing link in this culture of what people are really aiming for. And I think to that end, that's why I've been so successful socially, in my experience again, with interacting with people and being able to hit that spot that they're like, oh, this is the point that I did not know was possible, right? People in their own culture here who are feeling that sense of isolation. You would be surprised, Ryan, how many there are in this culture who are desperate for that. I walk down the patios on the street and watch people, just laughter going on, and good times, it seems.
Yeah.
Instagrams that have amazing pictures. And yet at the very heart of it, for all these individuals, there's just that sense of longing, saying, I wish, like everyone else, to have that place where I feel safe, to actually be who I really am, and I don't have to keep up presentation. And I would say,
Curve ahead.
and I would say, like, for me, it really starts with learning how to, first of all, own my own weaknesses and strengths as well, strengths and weaknesses, but knowing how to lead with my weaknesses, especially in your context, saying, hey, for me to survive here, I'm going to get it out there as quickly as I can, and fight those voices in my head that say, hey, this is pointless, this is like a waste of time. I'm going to fight those voices because I need to interact at some point with these individuals, and it's almost like a courtesy I'm giving to them, to say, here's how I sort of operate with my handicaps or my weaknesses, the challenges in my life. And not only is it a courtesy, but it's also a gift. So it's a courtesy on the one hand, so that they can understand how to better communicate with you in a way that is going to be conducive for both of you guys to get your whatever project or purpose accomplished. But then it's also a gift where you're giving them also the permission now to be human, because you're modeling what brokenness looks like.
Jeez.
Hey, don't get overwhelmed by these ideas.
No, not overwhelmed. It's like enlightening. It gives you like a brand new perspective